Okay, we're now streaming on YouTube. Welcome everyone to our first Police Services Board meeting of the new term of council. We'll start with election of chair first. It's for the year 2023. Do I have a mover and seconder for a nomination? Moved by Jim Wirt. Who are you nominating, Jim? And a seconder for that nomination? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Did you want to take it from here, or did you? Yep, you can sit right there, and we'll just do a nomination for vice chair next. I'll let you handle that, Mr. Chair.
Good morning. Everybody knows everyone, so I don't think we have to start with the introductions. We're going to have the election of the vice chair, and I'll ask Kimberly if she would run that by everyone in terms of who wants to run.
Are there any nominations for the position of vice chair? Councillor McDonald?
I nominate
Jim Wirt. Is there a seconder for that?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Carried.
Well, welcome as the vice chair to the first meeting. No, there used actually. You don't laugh because there was before. They had a second vice chair. Not anymore. I think Dennis was a chair for the last at least 15 years that I recall. Dennis Faith. Anyway, we'll call the meeting to order, and we'll ask for the motion for the approve the agenda, please.
Thank you. I'll need a mover and a seconder. The motion reads that the agenda be approved as presented. Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Wirt. All in favor?
It's carried. Next, we have the minutes of the previous meeting of October 26, 2022, and we have a motion for that too as well.
It reads that the minutes of the meeting held October 26, 2022 be adopted as presented. Moved by Councillor Wirt, seconded by Councillor McDonald.
Thank you. Is there any errors or omissions? Has anybody seen in the minutes? All in favor then? Minutes are carried. No, there's no presentations, and we'll move for items of discussion. First, I'll ask if any members have any conflict of pecuniary interest or anything there. Seeing none. Okay, items of discussion, we'll move to 7.1.
Excuse me, Mayor McGillis,
yes.
In regards to the conflict of interest.
Oh.
I'd just like to bring to the board's attention with regards to conflict of interest. For item number 7.4, the VSG, I know the board, you would be aware, Mr. Chair, but and so would Mr. Wirt, but just so that the board is fully aware, we are partners in applying for that grant. Also, when I will be speaking about it, I also sit on the board of directors for victim services of Stormont, Dundas, Langarry, and Akwesasne, and they have been brought in as a partner to assist us in completing the goals of the grant as per the amendments I'll be speaking about. So I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention. There is no conflict at the moment. As from my board duties or as the commander within the detachment, but I did want it brought to the board's attention that any conflict that might arise from that I would be removing myself from that decision-making process.
Okay, very well noted. Thank you. Okay, thanks for that. We'll move to items for discussion. And I'm sure Mark wants to start us off here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Congratulations on your appointment, Mr. Vice Chair, as well. I look forward to working with the Police Services Board through the next term. I know that we've had an excellent working relationship in the past, and I know that will certainly continue. So, moving directly to the OPP's report.
Whoops! I squeezed that too hard. I was just moving it. I'll turn it on if I can. There. Back in business.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just moving you to page 536, just the cover page. I would like to quickly bring to the board's attention the mobile crisis response team. There is a section at the, actually it's on page 6. I will reaffirm the board may be aware that we were not successful again in our joint presentation with Cornwall Community Hospital and the Cornwall Community Police Service in receiving base funding. I was just made aware yesterday afternoon that Health Ontario has provided Cornwall Community Hospital with a sum of money, approximately $109,000, toward, it is a one-time payment. It is not stable-based funding. It is a one-time payment towards mental health and addiction services, specifically to work with police. I do not have any details for the board at this time. The meeting will be this afternoon between the policing partners and the hospital to discuss. However, I will be reporting back to the board so it can be reported to County Council exactly how that money is to be spent. My hope is that we will have the ability to bring some of that money back to County Council or to the counties as a form of in a form of a reimbursement. Again, it doesn't meet our goal of getting that stable base funding to replace the $120,000, but it would be a good starting point. And obviously, you know, if we're getting that money, it goes to speak to the tremendous work that we did in presenting our business case to Health East. I will highlight on pages 7 and 8 the community policing, particularly our auxiliary members. I know that on our agenda for today, for item 7.2, I will be speaking to the SDG auxiliary unit a year in review. But just certainly highlighting the not only the fantastic work that our auxiliary unit has done over the course of the 2022 year, but once again, you know, in the last quarter of the year for the months of October, November, and December, just highlighting some of the incredible community work they are doing. I can tell you that we have one of the most engaged auxiliary staff sergeants and sergeants. They are just phenomenal with not only, you know, activities that we ask them to assist us with, but also some proactive activities, and I'll speak to a little bit more to that in item 7.2. Okay. On page 14, just bringing to your attention the number of patrol hours. We're just right around the 1,500 mark. Down a little bit from what we see certainly in the summer months, but definitely consistent right across the counties of the overall patrol hours that our officers are conducting. We are asking them to be out in the counties and on the municipal roads a little bit more to bring those hours up, to spread them out. Obviously, the 401 with our volume of traffic and just the responsibilities we have with policing such a large section of it. That does take a lot of their hours. You'll see that there was a lot of good foot patrol that took place during those hours, as well as school patrol hours. So our officers are getting out there on foot patrol in the schools and the school zone areas during the busy times, especially when the buses are out. So they're interacting with the not only school staff but with the parents and children as well. Taking you to page 15, probably the thing that will, the two that are going to stand out the most are going to be item in the property crime section. So first of all, we have arsons. They're in the quarter, they're up, there's an increase of 9, which for an increase of 450%. But overall, you're going to see we've had 18 more arsons year over year. This is certainly, these are identified arsons. We definitely do have a problem. Our crime unit along with our uniform patrol are actively investigating these arsons. We've formed a major case. We are using the major case management system to manage these. Since this was reported on, so for 2023, we have seen a significant slowdown. We are attributing to that to some investigative techniques, also to an arrest that has been made. However, I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention. Some of them have occurred in North Glengarry and North Stormont, so we are actively investigating those at this time. And you'll see that, you'll see a pretty large change come up in the billing model. The have stolen goods, previously, Mayor McDonald, you were not here, but you were not sitting on the PSB, but I reported on this during our last meeting. The have stolen goods, the massive increase, 54 compared to 11. That is specifically having to do with the stolen motor vehicles that we are recovering on the 401 that are emanating from the Toronto area. Mr. Mayor, just so you're aware, just time of day they're being stolen in Toronto, and then the distance they have to travel. They are literally just arriving in our area just during prime time. We're just picking them off one after another. And these are all, 60, 70, $120,000 vehicles that we are safely stopping and arresting and recovering them. So that's why you see such a large increase in the have stolen goods category. Taking you to page 17. So I am extremely pleased to report, Mr. Chair, that at last year's Q1 meeting, I made a commitment to the Police Services Board to see a 20% increase in our overall traffic safety activities. If you look at the graph on the top left, if you look at Highway Traffic Act, now these are charges only. These don't include any other traffic safety activities. They don't include ride. They don't include traffic stops. They don't include any other education. But you can see that there was a 25% increase year over year in our just the amount of tickets that we gave. And if you look at the graph below that, you'll see that there was a 20% or a 19% increase in traffic stops year over year, and there was a 37% increase in ride programs done throughout the counties. I would certainly like to acknowledge the tremendous work that the folks at the SDG detachment did to bring those numbers up. We made it a detachment priority. They really bought into it, and they really did a phenomenal job with regards to that. You can see through some of the other statistics that overall we were up year over year in almost every category, with the exception of distracted driving and impaired driving. I will bring to the board's attention that there was a glitch in the reporting system that has been identified. So the impaired drivers, the system where I draw the information from, was not accurately taking it from a reporting system. This was just brought to my attention 2 days ago, and there was no correction from it. So the actual amount of impaired drivers may be much greater than is being indicated on the graph. But once again, very proud of the folks at the SDG detachment for all of the traffic safety efforts they've put in over the last year.
Right. I have a question. The impaired driving, and so that when you have the stops there for that type of ride program,
Yes.
is the province still paying towards that? I know it doesn't come out of the county. I think it's the province that's paying for that now.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So there is a ride grant. So when we do rides, so there's two different ones. So we ask that our uniform patrol perform at least one ride per county per shift. And we do that not only to dissuade impaired driving, but we do it overall for public education and for proactive high visibility policing. So those are, when those ride occurrences occur, yes, that is a billable call. That is a billable call for service. However, there is the ride grant, which is provided on a yearly basis by the, or pardon me, on a 2-year basis by the province of Ontario. So for the, Kim, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, for 2020 through 2022 was the last one, right? Yes, so we're 2023 through 25. So for 2020 through 2022, we do have separate rides, which are strictly paid for by the province. It does not go back to the counties to pay for. They're not considered billable calls for service, and those are done on a pay duty basis. And those are done under the discretion of, or under the direction of the operations manager. How we are going to do those rides, when are we going to do them, how many officers are we going to have, and it gives, we can use them throughout the 2-year period, or yearly how the funds are allotted, and over the 2-year period. So this year, the 2023 ride grant was slow to get to us, or slow to approval. During my conversations with the last CAO, we did not want to do any rides with grant money that might be coming. We wanted to ensure that the funds had been distributed or had been approved by the province based on our application. So we've started those now, so we've done a wide variety. So not only are you seeing regular ride programs through our regular uniform patrol, but you're also seeing rides coming in from our, you're seeing rides through the pay duty process. And we're doing those not just on the roadways, but they're also happening on the trails. The staff sergeants have been setting those up so that they're happening on the Skidoo trails as well.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions up so far? Jim? Oh, okay, good.
Mr. Chair, could I
Yes.
be excused just for 1 minute?
Sure.
This is the second call I've had come in.
Yeah,
and,
we'll wait. We'll wait.
Thank you.
Sure. I don't think anybody's in a big rush today. Nobody's in a big rush today, just to blow snow. You want a coffee? Yeah, I might have one too. Would you like a water? Or coffee? Yeah. So, Inspector Hemrick, we can continue?
Yes, my apologies, Mr. Chair.
that's
Thank
okay.
you. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that quick break. So, just taking you over to page 19. Once again, theft of motor vehicles being classified. That's not necessarily. We have seen a small uptick in our area of people having their vehicles stolen through electronic means, but overall, that's being the theft of motor vehicle is being classified through the recovered stolen vehicles that we are getting out of the GTA on the 400 series highways.
Have you considered maybe putting more pressure on the manufacturers to put things on the cars so like a GPS where they can't, these fobs now, they're easy to transmit. So I was watching on TV the other day where they're putting more pressure on the car manufacturers to have something in place where they could find these cars before they get to where they're going.
Unfortunately, Mr. Mayor, the manufacturers that have done that, we are literally seeing some models come across that we're recovering where the entire infotainment system has been removed from the vehicle. It's sitting on the passenger seat to defeat that. So there is a working group right now within Ontario and Quebec that are putting tremendous amount of pressure on the Insurance Bureau of Canada and the vehicle manufacturers. One trend we are seeing is some dealerships are taking it into their own hands, where as long as it is not a leased vehicle, they're actually selling vehicles that have defeats on them. So the vehicle can only be, although you need the key to enter the vehicle and you need the key to start the vehicle, there is another hidden defeat in it that only the key that was provided by the manufacturer will allow. So for example, the fuel pump won't come on, or you can't shift the vehicle into any other gear. You can't put the vehicle into gear. So if it's not that manufacturer's key fob that's looking at it.
Interesting.
And pending any questions with regards to the report, Mr. Chair, those were all the things that I had flagged for item 7.1 for the report.
Great, thank you. Sergeant Lamontagne, did you want to speak to what was going on there at our municipality at the community center on March 23rd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair. Regarding to item 7.4 on the agenda, I'll provide you an update on the victim service grant. More specifically, I'll be speaking about a training component which we will be offering to not only police officers, but also to the public. And this is going to occur on March 23rd. And this will, the venue we chose, it's going to be at the South Starmont Township Building. We are looking at over 200 plus guests to be part of our conference. Main topic will be human trafficking. Human trafficking, we have over 7 different groups that will partake as a guest speakers for this event. Here I'm going to go over quickly so you know who will be part of this one-day training. Here I'm talking about the National Center to End Human Trafficking. We have the provincial OPP human trafficking unit, as well as the regional and local human trafficking unit. We are also including 2 survivors who will be part of the day. And in the afternoon, we are including the Ontario Native Women Association. So, and including as well the Ontario Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services. And lastly, Victim Service of SDNG and Akwesasne. This is going to be a full day, and our intent is also to invite a member of the board if you are able to attend on the day. This is a full day, and also we will be including food and beverages as well for the day. In regards to the room we're going to be using, because of the nature of and the amount of people that will be part of the meeting of the conference, we've been looking at equipment and technology. Because first of all, we want to ensure that all the people attending will be able to see and have the ability to have from where they're sitting to have a good look at the people that are presenting. So part of this plan is to add some equipment. We looked at different venues, like to rent equipment, but the best option we have at this point is to possibly purchase 2 additional screen to allow all the people to see what's happening up the front. Part of that portion is what we would do with that technology afterwards. So we've been looking at different options, like donate to our victim services or to our community room in our detachment when we hold other conferences. So this is one of the subject maybe we want to present to the board here if this is something we could explore. Otherwise, we have we're going to be inviting some elders from Akwesasne to do an official opening of the event on the day of, and as well as the closing. Let me see here. We're going to be inviting as well some of the local media and also national media. So it's likely going to be, we're going to have a very good coverage of the event. The main purpose of this whole event is to take people attending to this training into a journey about victim of human trafficking. And geographically, where we are situated, we are often facing people being victim of human trafficking. And for people attending, we're talking about members of school boards, hospitals, even hotel managers, to raise awareness and what are the flags, things to look for when interacting with a certain segment of the population that might be a victim of human trafficking. And as we go through the day, we're going to go into law enforcement involvement, what's going on with victims of human trafficking, and moving forward into the last segment with victim service, what kind of service they are providing and support with victim service. So essentially, this is covering the whole day. And again, we will be reaching out to extend an invitation to you all if you wish to participate in the day of, which is going to be a very interesting and informative day.
Very good. I think it's very important there to get the media involved and keeping people aware of what the flags are, like you said, because I don't know how bad it, or compared to other regions it is. Is it really bad in this community too, in terms of the trafficking going on?
Well, the very nature of where we are situated between along the 401, Toronto and Montreal, and the port of entry here in Cornwall, we're in a very strategic location where this is where we often come across people who are victim of human trafficking. I myself been involved in many cases over the year where people transiting through 401 and often stop here to to stay at a hotel or go at the hospital or go at a restaurant. It's all happening here on a regular basis, so, but it's not on, we don't see, but the public need to know what are the flags as well. So that's why this is an area that's really critical, and it's really key that people are aware and be mindful of this is happening, right?
Yes, for sure. Any questions so far or concerns? Yeah, okay, go ahead, Inspector Hemrick.
Just if Mr. Chair might permit me, I was wondering if we might take things a little bit out of order since Staff Sergeant Lamontagne has already spoken with regards to the human trafficking conference. That would flow nicely in item 7.4, which I could present on.
Just if we're done through you, Mr. Chair, if we're done with the report, 7.1,
Yeah.
that's the only motion
Yeah,
that will,
that's the only motion for it, so
Yeah,
we
for-
can ask for a motion for,
Yes,
to
please.
receive the report?
yeah.
Okay.
So it reads that the OPP report for October to December 2022 be accepted for information purposes.
All in favor?
Moved by
Oh, sorry, you didn't move it yet.
Councillor McDonald,
No.
seconded by Councillor Ward, not Councillor, sorry, Board Member Ward.
All in favor? Carried. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So as I mentioned, I'll take us a little bit out of order. I'll go to item number 7.4. Some correspondence, which I hope everyone got in regards to the Victims Services Grant update. So I would just like, in 2021, the SDG detachment was the recipients of a grant, which the SDG Police Services Board was our partner, along with Maison Interlude, Naomi House, and Timea's Cause Incorporated, which is an organization out of Toronto, which provides a wide variety of services and training with regards to human trafficking. Because of COVID, there were some complexities in the first year of the grant. We were able to achieve most of our financial goals during the grant, but we were not able to achieve all of our stated goals that we needed to achieve through that. Certainly not through a lack of effort on anybody's behalf. There's no behalf. But in the second year of the grant, there were some delays. And as we approached the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, I started to have some concerns with regards to our, and I say our, I mean all the partners involved in the grant, our ability to accomplish the goals of the grant and ensure that we were spending the ministry-approved funds in a financially responsible way as they were intended to be spent, and that we were within the boundaries of the grant. I therefore took the initiative, Mr. Chair, to write to the ministry correspondence, which I did forward on to the clerk and to the CAO, outlining my concerns with particularly Timea's Cause. And just I wasn't completely satisfied with their ability to meet all of the stated goals with the stated financials in the timeline, and wrote to the ministry simply saying that I felt that if the OPP and we engaged a local partner to achieve the same goals, that we would be much more successful. I'm happy to report, as you have seen through the correspondence, that the ministry did accept those changes. And they did agree that we could, politely sever our ties with Timea's Cause for year 2 of the grant. So hence my declaration of a potential conflict of interest. We did engage with Victim Services of SDG and Akwesasne to be the new partner to provide us with not only their expertise in training and in human trafficking, but also their expertise in planning and to help us actually spend the money according to the ministry guidelines, because they do receive a tremendous amount of funding from the federal and provincial government through grants, and they are experts. So they became our newest partner. Obviously, because the Police Service Board, the board is our partner, I wanted to bring this to the board's attention and ensure that I had your approval for this change, as you are one of the signatures on the grants application. That was number one. Number two, as Staff Sergeant Lamontagne spoke to, within the grants parameters, because we are doing all of this training at once, we have spoken to the ministry. And in order to put on a conference of this size, we did, ask about equipment, all sorts of things. And the ministry said during training that we do have a fair amount of latitude with regards to materials, equipment that we need. We have looked at the possibilities of renting equipment to help us with this. We've also looked at the possibility of buying equipment. I can report to the board that renting the equipment wouldn't be fiscally responsible. It would cost as much to buy it. So two things. First of all, that I'm looking for approval from the board. Kim, would that require a motion?
You're just looking for direction to go ahead and use.
Well, I'm looking for approval from the board that they're in agreement with the requested change that I had made from the ministry that has been approved. Number two, I am looking for the board's approval and input as to if we go ahead and purchase equipment to help us for this one-day conference. Obviously, we are going to be left with some big, expensive equipment. And I'm looking for the board's input as to what they would like us to do with it. Okay. Staff Sergeant Lamontagne has brought up some suggestions. I have a few, but those two items I would like the board's input on.
Okay.
So first one would be
Two different separate motions? Yeah. Okay.
So through you, Mr. Chair, the first motion could just be simple, that the SDG Police Services Board approve the changes presented by Detachment Commander Mark Hemrick to the Victim Services Grant.
Okay. Mover? Okay, seconder? Jim? Is there any questions before we move on? All in favor? It's carried.
And just before we go to so obviously Staff Sergeant Lamontagne had brought up that if we did purchase any equipment, and certainly for discussion or any ideas the board has, does the board have any suggestions or any ideas how you would like us to handle it? Would you like us to offer it to one of the partners of the grant if it can be used on their? I'm open to the board's suggestions. Most of it will be brand new. I wouldn't want to put it to auction. I would prefer to see it donated or used in another way.
Okay, so I'll put it on the floor to either Jim or Mayor McDonald. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, through the chair, just a comment in regards to some of the discussions that we've had in this room previously on matters like this, and it's led the counties to develop a fairly in-depth resource base for IT, Mike and Todd and the balance, and I'm sure that exists with the city as well. And because this is such as an all-encompassing, before the purchase is made, would it be realistic to reach out to see whether or not that technical ability is available to be shared with somebody, or has that already been through the process?
No, it has not, Mr. No, it has not, Mr. Wart. We have not made that. We have not made that reach out yet. I don't know. That could certainly be a sidebar conversation. We certainly. I would tell the board that we have a lot of money that we need to spend as well. So we also see this as an opportunity to support possibly a community partner as well that may not have the same financial means. And if we, for example, if we can purchase a 90-inch TV that we're going to be using to broadcast to the back of the room, do we have a community partner who their boardroom might benefit from that, especially one of our nonprofits, right? But yes, no, we had not reached out to answer your question.
Go ahead, subsequent.
Yeah, through you. Anyway, just a comment on having been involved in a few of these over the time, and as far as ease of production and quality of production, often this technology requires some guidance from some experts, and I guess that would be my only other comment, is that let's make absolutely sure that that this technology supports the caliber of the conference that you guys are putting together, rather than learn to do by doing, I guess would be the frame that I would use. Thank you.
Yeah, I would concur. I'd rather see it go to one of the community partners. It's we use the word technology, and I know what ends up happening if we say, oh, we know we'll have it available for people. It'll sit in a storage, and before you know it, it's no longer technology. It's a big TV that's got a big back on it, and that you got to get rid of. So yeah, let's I say get it put to use with our community partners, and I think it's a great partnership between the Police Services Board and you know, everybody that we work with. So.
Yes, through you, I have drafted one. It reads that the SDG Police Services Board direct the OPP to donate the technology used for the Victim Services Grant Conference to a suitable community partner.
That's good. All in favor?
Oh, we need
Oh,
a-
I keep forgetting about the mover and the seconder, because we always have that in advance.
Yeah.
Okay, who wants to move it? Jamie? And Jim will second it. I don't even have to ask. I can't second it, so thank you very much, fellas. All in favor? It's carried.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I will report back during our next meeting as to what was purchased and then whom it was donated to, and if we run into, I hope we don't run into difficulties giving free things away, but if we ever did not, I would bring it back to the board for a decision as to how to move on next. Item 7.2, I will go back into our order, where is item 7.2 I have for you. I just wanted to bring your attention in your packages to pages 12 and 13. As the board may be aware, our auxiliary program within the Ontario Provincial Police is a completely voluntary organization. They are not paid, so they do this out of their free time and out of the kindness and the generosities of their heart in order to give back to their communities. And I would certainly like to highlight just, you know, of the 14 members that are currently that we started with, we are down to 8, and you can see some of the reasons why. We are seeing within the OPP more and more of a trend where we have very qualified people whom are applying to the auxiliary program and are immediately being asked to move over to the uniformed officer stream. So it is making it very difficult for us to recruit. But of the 8 members that we do have remaining, they have done absolutely phenomenal work. You can see that of the 8, we actually have 6 of them that were nominated for either a regional or a provincial award, and I'm very happy to say that all 8 will be receiving some type of recognition for the work they've done in the community. When you look at the total hours that they have volunteered, you know, 3,745. To put that, you know, into perspective for the board, that's a lot of man hours. And that's a lot of time that they have given to the communities of SDG. One of the biggest one of the biggest time consumers is Highland Games weekend. You know, we rely so heavily on them to be there and to have that community engagement along with our uniformed presence, probably more so than our uniformed officers, because our uniformed officers are there doing security as well, and they have other things to do. So we really rely on those auxiliary members for that community outreach. Another huge part of those hours, Mr. Mayor, as you are aware, is that the auxiliary units, during the year, they go out and do proactive patrols. So they will take a black and white cruiser. They will log on, and they are our eyes and ears within some of our more built-up villages, especially in South Stormont. It started with Ingleside, Arrowhead Estates, Forest Hill, and the village of Long Sault, and they are just our eyes and ears. But we also expanded that to having them do foot patrol out on the Morrisburg waterfront, where we were hearing some complaints about, you know, just they would have liked to have seen a more police presence. We are still, this is not replacing what our uniformed officers are doing, but it is just supplementing and ensuring that we have a presence and a good community presence to interact with the public. They do not have the powers of a police officer or a peace officer within the province of Ontario. They are citizens. However, you know, they still do represent our organization, and I am extremely proud of the incredible work they have done over 2022. On page 13, I'm just going to highlight, you know, once again, we do our yearly food drives in each one of the counties. And once again, you know, between money and gift cards, $6,500 was raised for our local food banks. Over 5,000 pounds of food was donated. And as you saw in your package, we were also invited by the Cornwall Community Police Service to participate with their auxiliary unit in the city to help them out during, you know, and once again, that doesn't fall under their mandate. It's just something they're doing out of the kindness of their heart, and it goes also to show the great working relationship we have with the Cornwall Community Police Service. You know, that we're there to support each other whenever we can, and yeah, I just can't say enough about the tremendous work they're doing and the fantastic work, you know, Auxiliary Staff Sergeant Jason Flero is doing in leading that unit and ensuring, you know, the members are getting out there. And yeah, there's no surprise as to why his members are being gobbled up into the uniform stream. For item 7.3, Mr. Chair, Mr. Wirt, you were here last year during our last meeting when I spoke about the board being more engaged. Certainly, Sergeant Lamotang has already put an invitation out to one of the board members, or all the board for that matter, to attend our human trafficking. I think this starts us off where we would like to highlight the board and the relationship we have, because, you know, you are an extension of the public. You are the voice of the public to us. And we would like to highlight our working relationship that we not only have with the board, but that we have with the county communities. And, you know, we are really hoping that, you know, we can invite you out to some events that we are going to be more publicizing in the future. Also, I will be sitting with the board when it comes time to write the detachment's new action plan. I will be asking Madam Clerk to have an ad hoc meeting in some fashion where the four of us sit down. You know, it does not have to be in this room, it can be much more informal, but where I seek the board's assistance in setting the priorities through the detachment strategic plan for the next 3 years. I think that is very important, that you are involved in that and that we collaborate to come up with that plan together based on the priorities as are being reported to you, not only as municipal politicians, but also as members of the community. I will bring to your attention page 35 and page 36. So there was a there was a police service board survey sent to all police services boards members. Part of that engagement piece, I just sort of want to get a feel from the board. Based on what was sent in the survey and what has been reported back, and based on the report that I am providing to the board, would the board like to see any additions, deletions, enhancements, so on and so forth?
Through the chair, I guess my overall comment would be that, you know, the mental health awareness as a priority in the course of the last 3 or 4 years has been sort of recognized as something that's imperative that we maintain. So as long as we're keeping that in our forefront, I think that creates a win for just about every aspect if we can deal with that as proactively as possible.
Would you like to see something directly in the report, like some type of statistic in regards to mental health service calls, diversions, you know, wait times at the hospital? Would that something that the board would be interested in seeing on a regular basis in my quarterly report?
Subsequent. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think in addition to that, I've got some colleagues in different other municipalities, and they're all trying to implement game plans that are, you know, contemporary. And so I think it's also important that we make sure that we access what's already being done out there and pick best practices. So, and I'll be surprised if that's not already happening, but maybe for the public to understand where our direction's coming from, it might be advantageous.
Absolutely. I will add something, so I will make sure to add nothing that is too, you know, boring or lengthy, but I will make sure to add something that gives the board a snapshot of not only what we're doing and the successes that we are having, but where we are looking to move things forward. And I'll have a section for, you know, where we're looking as we're working in collaboration with CCH and Cornwall Police.
Thank you.
Was there anything else, Mr. Chair, that the board wished to see in the report? Was there anything the board wanted eliminated from the report that you find erroneous or that the board doesn't read? And that maybe I could just provide to the CAO and the clerk, and that if there were anything, you know. Okay. And for your attention, Mr. Chair, I am open at any point if the board has a suggestion of something they would like to see added or removed. Please let me know. I'm very flexible and I can adapt the report. Item 7.5, Mr. Chair, so facilities, North Glengarry detachment. Mayor McDonald, you are aware of this, and Mr. Wirt, Mr. Chair, you may or may not have seen the announcement that we put out to the public. The North Glengarry detachment will be closing completely to the public and to our officers for approximately 30 days. The official closure date, Norm? Monday. Is Monday the 27th? 27th, yes. So we will be closing operations. After it's been about 20 years since we've been able to do any type of renovations in there, so that the renovations that will be occurring are all mostly cosmetic ones, but some of them are bringing certain things up to new OPP standards. For example, our weapons control room, our loading area needs updating. And so in order to facilitate all of those renovations within the end of the fiscal, we're, no pun intended, but we're under a bit of the gun to complete all that work. The simplest option was to shut the detachment from the public and the officers for that time. that way we could clear the building and just let the contractors in there to get the work done. All operations, our frontline operations, will be moved down to the Lancaster detachment. It'll be a bit of a tight squeeze for the month, but it is workable, and then the administration will be, some of the administrative positions will come to the hub in Long Sault. We do not anticipate any disruption in services to the residents of North Glengarry whatsoever during that time, and the timeline that we have set is generous. So it could open, we could be back in earlier, but we've set, you know, a realistic timeline. But as long as that timeline is completed before the end of fiscal, because some of the projects are being completed by the province and some are being completed by the landlord. So with that as well, I just did want to bring to the board's attention that overall, I believe I've spoken to the board about this, but one of my priorities in the United Counties is facilities. And that, you know, and I would invite the board, if the board is ever interested, to come and see the facilities, our five detachments within the counties. Obviously, Mr. Mayor, you know, within, or Mr. Chair, within your municipality, you know, Long Sault is the hub. It is the most modern one. It's 10 years old. People walk in that building and they think it's brand new. They think we built it yesterday. You know, it is considered it's the flagship. It's considered an example right across the OPP. And certainly, you know, some of our other facilities have been around for a very long time. We've got more staff, more cars, more stuff, and we are starting to outgrow our facilities. So the long-term facilities plan, not only for myself, but for the OPP, is not only to improve facilities, but to consolidate some of them. Where, you know, we've been operating out of some 5 detachments for a very long time, which was feasible, you know, 20, 30 years ago, but some of the facilities need to be consolidated, not only for cost saving, but overall just to give the public better policing. So that's a long term, and I currently am working with one municipality and the counties on looking at, you know, potential options to start to see some of that come to reality.
Thank you very much for all the communications that are coming from your office. So the person that's sending all these communications out, or who's involved, or whose responsibility, they're doing a good job, because the updates are really, really informative. So thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and Mayor McDonald. I trust that information got to you guys in a timely fashion. I believe Sergeant McPherson presented at on council on Tuesday, so we wanted to give as much advance notice as we could, Mr. Chair, to the public, and but not to, as well to the municipality, that as to what was going on and how long they were going to be without a detachment in their area.
From the officers that are coming, the sergeants that come. Sometimes it's different people, but they're very. It's very interesting what they have to say, and it gives the rest of council an opportunity to ask questions as well. Do you have, is it every second meeting that you have, or once a month? Oh, is it? Okay, because it's good that they get an opportunity to ask questions too. So great, thanks for keeping that going.
Yeah, it varies per municipality, Mr. Chair, how often we can appear upon request. I make myself available. I come once a year, as you're aware. I go to every municipal council once a year, just to give a State of the Union address to council, and just make sure that they know, you know, who the face of the detachment is, and just, you know, if they have any direct questions for me. But we are always available to all the councils, you know, upon short request, if they require a representative at a meeting to address an issue. Mr. Chair, item 7.6, I will take you to page 30 through 34. And probably the most important ones are page 32 through 34, those three for the board. As you can see, Mr. Chair, we have been in possession of something that is called the speed sign. It is a portable radar-mounted speed sign, which we can deploy anywhere within the counties. I have attempted to find out the origins of when it was bought, how it was paid for, so on and so forth. Unfortunately, it is well beyond any of our time, and it has become, as you can see, it's pretty rusty. It's in rough shape. The colors, those old blue and gold, that doesn't even match our patrol cars anymore. And the battery systems that power it are done for. I did have one of my officers last year go get an estimate as to what it would cost to refurbish it, repaint it, and also have a solar panel system put on top of it so that those batteries could be continuously refreshed. As you can see, the total was $3,000 last year to have it fully refurbished. I would say that this is a very valuable tool. Not only, we use the speed spies that the counties own or the municipalities own to provide us data. But for some reason, when we put up our speed sign with our OPP colors and your actual speed that we chain to a light pole, it is just a detractor. Because for some reason, people think it's photo radar, which it's not. But they do, and to all of our benefits. So something certainly for the board to consider. I know that County Council approved an additional $5,000 for the PSB to spend on OPP discretionary OPP asks. And I would certainly be asking for this year from the board for consideration that some of those funds be released so that we could have that speed sign properly refurbished for the board's consideration.
So I'll agree, they certainly do scare me. So I think it's definitely worthwhile to get that fixed. And I think for $3,000, I think that's a great deal. So I would definitely support getting that done.
Speed spies. So they're not the ones that are they're not identifiable, right? They're the ones we put up on telephone poles that go missing. Yeah. Yeah, so no, this one has to be trailered. We literally chain it to a telephone pole, and again, as I've mentioned, it is a very good visual distraction, and we have found some success as well. If we chain it to the same telephone pole where we put a speed sign up, the speed spies are less likely to go missing.
Stand, Mike. Yeah, I totally agree with Mayor McDonald because to refurbish that and get it back out there and making sure it's working for a long time to come. Do we need a motion for that? Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the motion reads that the SDG Police Services Board approve the repairs to the OPP speed sign at an estimated cost of $3,000 to be funded from the PSB Community Initiatives budget.
Mover? Jim, seconder? Mayor McDonald, all in favor? It's carried.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And once again, I will report back. We'll action that. We'll action that as soon as we can get it unburied from the snow, and we'll get it down and get them working on that immediately, so we can have it ready and out for the spring.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you, I'd like to thank the board for the opportunity to be able to speak with you here today. Today's weather is a good preamble to my conversation. It is a little snowy and blowy out there, but thankfully not as bad as what they were forecasting. As I'm sure everybody here is quite aware, we're talking about the storm at Christmas time. She was quite heavy, quite windy, lots of drifting, and some of the worst conditions most of our most senior operators have experienced. What you're not aware of probably is a lot of the issues and concerns and different factors that affected many of the service providers within our area. Different public works departments, road departments, ambulance, fire, and police themselves. So we're very proud on our end. We're very happy with what our crews did. I think they did an excellent job in trying to keep the roads open within SDG. Although we do appreciate that they weren't the best conditions, all the county roads remained open throughout. This was no easy task. But we do have the luxury at the counties of having 24-hour staff. Unfortunately, some of the lower tier municipalities don't have that luxury, which put extra pressure on them having to shut down during night hours. One of the factors that really impeded our operations was the closures of the 400 highways, the 401, 417. Although I can appreciate the need for their closure, what that does just basically forces all that traffic onto our road network with very little support. Unfortunately, at that time, your officers are busy dealing with the issues on the 400s. It's also come to our attention, and we've been approached by the ambulance services that they had similar concerns throughout the winter event. They were continually dispatched to roads that were closed, unknown to them. They were unable to get around to various abandoned vehicles, and even themselves were stuck more than once on the roadway. And I'm sure if you talk to the fire departments and various other departments, Hydro, for example, they would tell you very similar stories. What we'd like to propose is a working group going forward with the very emergency services, police, fire, ambulance, as well as other stakeholders, public works departments, road departments, hydro, and maybe emergency management, to get them involved with it also. We all know we're in a changing climate, and we all know we're getting more severe storms year-round, not just summer and winter. And we figured this is a good time to bring this to the table, to start these discussions now, and we're just looking for your support on going forward with this endeavor. And I leave that to you.
Derek, any questions or concerns? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'm good there. Perfect. First, I'll say hi to everybody and good morning. And this is my first PSB meeting, so thank you for having me. And I'll address some of the concerns just via the OPP. Some referred to that as Snowmageddon, I believe, and it was quite overwhelming for our officers as well, just due to the number of calls. But the amount of cars in the ditches and roads that they were having difficulty getting through. But I was extremely proud of how well our officers worked together and how good of a job they did, considering the terrible conditions. Some of our officers too, they had the difficulty of deciding, do we close the roads, do we not close the road, and I was actively engaged with them during those decision-making processes. However, we do have to follow the lead of the MTO and the superintendent as to what are their capabilities of keeping it open, because if they can't keep it open and have safe passage through there, well then we have to get the road closed. The MTO has to make the decision to close the road so we don't have people stuck in the middle of the roads abandoned. So it's a very fluid situation that decisions have to be made as they proceed through it. There was a little bit of miscommunication during that time period too, as to I believe there was a media release that stated that the 400 series highway was completely closed. However, we weren't completely closed in SDNG. There was periods of times where we were temporarily closed while vehicles were safely pulled out of the ditch. But the passageway was open for the majority of the time. However, I believe there was a media release saying that it was closed from Brockville right through to the Quebec border. But we followed the lead of MTO, and they were able to keep it open. And like Derek said, we don't want those pressures on the county roads unless we absolutely have to do that. So there was a lot of things to take into consideration during that storm, but I think collectively, I feel that we did the best we could with the situation that we were dealt. But would definitely would take your input on that.
Okay, thank you for that addition. Council, or not council, but the board members have any concerns or questions?
Who issued that press release? Because I remember seeing it, but
Yeah, it was an OPP press release, and sorry, it was an OPP press release, and I believe what happened was when the call was asked whether SDG was closed down, we were closed down at that point in time on the 417.
okay.
And so when the media release went out saying that it was closed for the entirety of the 401, the 401 wasn't closed, but at that particular period of time, the 417 was closed in SDG. So I believe that's where where there was a slight bit of communication, and there was so much sort of miscommunication. There was so much information coming into our media officers at that time that I believe that's how that miscommunication happened.
Just further, is that something that, so Derek, you're proposing a working group?
Yes, there again, I'm not criticizing the OPP. I realize decisions they had to make was decisions they had to make. We're not criticizing that, but we found out through this storm is there's a lot of agencies, departments all working within their silos, and they're working their best and trying to feed their information through their media. We're trying to feed our information through our media. They're not talking actually the best because everything's, like you said, very fluid at the moment. Ambulances experienced a very similar situation. Their dispatch didn't know where to send the ambulances to the calls they're getting. Hydros, I'm sure if you talk to Hydro, they're in the same situation with the power outages we had everywhere. They didn't know where to go. I'm sure if you talk to your fire chiefs, they're going to have the same conversation that they didn't know which roads to get down to if they had a fire call. If you talk to your public works directors, they weren't able to keep the roads open during the evenings, like on the back roads. I'm sure the police wouldn't be aware of which roads would be open also. So I'd like to get them all involved, including the MTO. As everybody around the table can appreciate, in the summertime when we close the 401, the impact it puts on the rural roads is quite tremendous. And quite often, you guys will have to put officers out at different intersections just to direct traffic. You do that in a winter event like we had at Christmas time, and it's enormous. So we want to get all those members to the table, have the conversations, involve emergency management. Some of these may not be cases where you need to activate EMO, but at least that communication plan is in place that everybody understands what's going on down the road. What the outcome of that means is going to be, I don't know. That's the idea of this working group, to come up with those decisions and how to better communicate, get the information out, and to be able to provide the services either to the public or the emergency service, whatever it may be, but just to get that plan and action going. It could be for a tornado event like you've seen hit Ottawa a couple times now. I'm not saying it can't happen here. It could be a winter storm. It's just to start that process because it'd be similar responses.
I think it's a great idea, so.
Yeah, through the chair, yeah, I totally agree, Derek, and I think the other side of it is that once you establish that communication network, let's use it at the emergency preparedness level at the local municipalities, because I know in several of them the community centers filled up without, ample preparedness. And I mean, fundamentally, it always comes down to communication, but if we can establish where that works the most efficiently, obviously, it's to everybody's benefit.
Thank you. I agree too as well. I think it would be an improved communication. It would help, together to work collectively in terms of how, what to do for that whole storm. The severity of the storm of Christmas Eve was pretty severe. And I remember in 1998 when we had that ice storm, there was a lot of, we thought, we were all ready for any emergency, but a lot of times when the emergency does come, the plan we put in place doesn't always come to fruition. So yeah, I would 100% agree with this, 100%. So we'll leave it with you.
And who would be the best contact with the police or yourself? Okay, we'll be probably in touch and try and get something organized. All right, thank you very much.
Just any other questions before we say goodbye?
Sorry, just a question. When will the provincial nominees be sitting at the table?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'll reach out to the province and see where they're at with the process. Last time I checked, the vacancies were still posted on their website, so I'm not sure if that's been closed yet.
So we'll probably get them for the last meeting of this term?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
It's been, what, 6 months now
Yeah.
so far, so I hope you're wrong on that one. Anyway, I guess we have a motion for adjournment.
Yes, it reads that the meeting adjourned to the call of the chair.
Mover? Jim, seconder, Mayor McDonald. All in favor of the motion? It's carried. Thank you. And thanks very much, gentlemen, for your reports.